Hello and welcome to the channel. Right, I'm going to have another look at this video by Craig Houston about Victoria MacLeod. What I've been thinking about it a bit, and what kind of... I've had a bit of abuse myself, right? So basically, you have to sort of ignore it, right? And because you're always going to get that. Because YouTube is a place where people can be narcissistic and without any, well, seemingly without any comeback. But I'm not going to sort of start greeting about things, right? I'm just going to say that I have had some abusive comments, and I do get them. I get them regularly. And generally, well, I do ignore them. But I'm talking about them now more from a perspective of to try and make sense of my situation and people like me. What does that mean? Well, you know, and the absurdity of a lot of the stuff that's floating around. But without actually explaining it totally, we're going to have a quick look at Craig's video.
Bizarre.
This is a video. This video at Craig's done. Trans judge takes UK to court. Shocking legal drama unfolds.
My 10-minute mod. It's quite a bizarre story where the UK's first ever trans judge is taking the UK government to court over the Supreme Court's decision made about transgender people. And so, this court over the Supreme Court's decision made about transgender people and women's rights in general. There was a single trans judge in the UK. I had never gave it a thought. It's not the kind of thing that bothers me so much, but no, there was a single trans judge in the UK. I had never gave it a thought. It's not the kind of thing that bothers me so much, but this person, Victoria MacLeod, as they are known now, is very front and forward about saying, I'm a trans judge and I'm the first in the UK, and up until retired a couple of months ago, the only one, right? Two short clips of Judge Victoria MacLeod in two different appearances on our TV screens, which are months apart, where the UK's first ever trans judge is taking the UK government to court over the Supreme Court's decision made about transgender people and women's rights in general.
If I could just stop you there, Craig. And women's rights in general. That's really got nothing to do with it. So I think he's just sort of trying to spice things up a bit. Victoria MacLeod is taking the British government to court over the Supreme Court ruling, which discriminates against transgender women and transgender men. So the Gender Recognition Act 2004. So that's really what's happened. There's a contradiction in terms of law. So Craig's his interpretation of what's happening is upside down, wrong way round, you name it. It's just not right. He's not looking at it right. So what it really is, there's a problem with the law, and that's why Victoria MacLeod has taken the UK government to the European Court of Human Rights for the discrimination of transgender people. So there is a Gender Recognition Act, and that's been going since 2004. So that hasn't disappeared. It hasn't disappeared in a puff of smoke. It's still there, right? So that's what he's talking about, and that's what she's doing, and that's what she should be doing. And yeah, that she's going to win. Well, it'll take a while, a year or two maybe, but she is going to win, because it's like Craig doesn't seem to understand it. You can't change things like that. You can't go back and you can't change just that little bit. You need a bit of, well, that's why That's why people are. That's why we need intelligent people to sort these things out. You can't just get rid of that. I know Craig can't get it or doesn't get it. A lot of people like him don't get it because you'd have to roll back the changes to rights of women, disabled people, and men as a result of the Equality Act and the Gender Recognition Act 2004-2010. So you can't just come along and just take that bit out of it and throw that away and because it doesn't matter about that minority, because it doesn't bother you, Craig, because you don't really know any of these people or whatever, you don't meet them in Rangers or whatever. If you do, you'll try and avoid them. So that's that bit.
So this story, now before I start, I didn't know there was a single trans judge in the UK.
So what? You know what I mean? So what, Craig? You know, I mean, it's quite a small percentage of the population. You can get trans bus drivers, trans mechanics. I don't like the term trans because it doesn't really mean anything. You're either male or female. So if you've qualified to change your legal gender from male to female or female to male, you need to see a psychiatrist, and then under the Gender Recognition Act you can transition from male to female or female to male. I don't like the term trans because if you're transitioning, you either transition or you don't. You know, so you're male, you're now female, or you're female, you're now male. So legally, Victoria MacLeod is female. She was male. There's nothing really big. That's it, really. You know, she's not a trans judge. So if she calls herself a trans judge, which I think she maybe does, she's welcome to do that. But she's a judge, and she's, as far as I'm concerned, she's a woman. She's a female. But if you think, say like Craig or any other person thinks she's a male or a man, you can think whatever you like. It's up to you. It's a free country. You can think what you like, but you can't undo legislation, and you can't change legislation just by coming on and moaning about it. You know, so she is a woman. She has done it legally. What you should do if you don't think it's possible to change your gender or your sex, you should say that, Craig. You should say you don't agree with that. But you can't. What you're effectively doing is lying about it, because you're saying that you're misrepresenting what's actually happening because you don't like it, or because you don't want your followers to maybe you're worried that they think you're not heterosexual or something, or you're not a real man or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, anyway.
I'd never gave it a thought. It's not the kind of thing that bothers me so much. But
well, why do you keep doing videos about it, Craig, if it doesn't bother you?
This person, Victoria MacLeod, as they are known now, is very...
Is there any need for that? That's what their name is. Is that what you're known as now? Craig Houston? Were you always called Craig Houston? I mean, is it really relevant as they are known now? So there's an implication that they weren't known that. Or maybe he's right, I don't know. I don't know if the judge... I don't know when she transitioned. Maybe he's right. Maybe Victoria MacLeod was a judge when male. Yes, I suppose he's got a point there. Yeah.
Very front and forward about saying I'm a trans judge and I'm the first in the UK, and up until retired a couple of months ago, the only one. Right. Now, before I cover the story.
This is Dr. Victoria MacLeod. Retired judge. There are lots of rainbow kittens or friends of the UK. Rainbow kittens are, some are poor, some are rich, some are poor, some are big families, some are that. None of them hate. Well, they hope for happy and good lives, love and family and milk and fish, and all of them vote kittens. What you mean you didn't know? Rainbows have looked at what their local council has said about kittens like that. Yeah, I mean that's up to her. She can do that if she likes. The cat thing. So what I say about that, what she's saying there is about voting, who you vote for. So she's talking, Victoria McLeod is talking about what they think of you, sort of thing, right? So what I'll say about that is there are a lot of important topics that you should worry about, right? So my concern, my personal concern is net zero, right? So that's what I want stopped, right? I think it's completely and utterly ridiculous that we have these globalists and business and corporate management, these people flying around the world, and there's planes, Learjets, all that stuff going on, but my Citroen C3 is dangerous, and I'm not allowed to drive it in the cities in Scotland or London, England. That's what bothers me. The trans stuff, yeah, but so what I would say to other transgender people who identify as trans or whatever, right? Think about all the other things that matter. There's lots of issues. It's one of them, right? So what happens to a lot of them? They tend to focus on the trans stuff, and I don't, right? But that's beside the point.
Judge Victoria McLeod.
Shown 2 short clips.
In part. In the first one, the judge is talking about sort of general judicial business on a podcast. In the second one, the judge is invited onto CNN, a national outlet in America, to talk specifically about trans. And what I want to do is point out some peculiar differences.
He's kind of making a thing of, one, she's dressed like what I am right now. Another, she's got makeup, but she's got her hair all done and everything, right? That's all he's talking about. And one, she's talking about trans issues, and the other she isn't. I still don't really get it. I get what he's trying to do. I just don't get it. I think women do that. Women wear makeup. I'm not wearing makeup right now. Right? I've been out in the garden. I've been messing with my car. I don't have to give a shite. I don't have to do anything. Nobody has to do anything. If you want to wear makeup, you wear makeup. If you want to wear a fucking Mexican hat, you can wear a Mexican hat. Nobody has to do anything. You do anything you like. But in corporate situations, you have to look the part. And that's what Victoria McLeod's doing. She was at an interview and she looked the part. She had nice makeup. She looked great. Wearing a nice suit, nice shoes, everything. She looked brilliant. And Craig, when he went to accept his position as leader of the SDP, he wore a suit and everything. He looked cool, right? That's what people do. It's normal, right? So I think he's trying to... Between
both the videos, then I'll come on to the actual story dictating the UK government.
So I think we'll zoom along from this.
The first one is Victoria McLeod on a podcast of yours. Can you tell me if the person that you were listening? So, to give you my opinion on that, and I would like to know yours, can you tell me...
Oh, well, I've pointed this out already. He doesn't want to know your opinion. He doesn't. He just doesn't, I mean, he doesn't want your opinion. He wants you to agree with him, and he wants the whole lot of all you Rangers supporters and followers and people, like-minded people, he wants you all to get together. And that's what he wants. And I don't know how that's going to work out for him.
If the person that you were listening to there sounded like a man or a woman. Because if that person had phoned me, I would automatically presume and assume that that was a man I was talking to. Now, if that person presented herself in front of me, I may be thinking, is that a man? If it was not for slightly unkept style of hair, I would probably be convinced that was a man. Because it sounds like a man, looks like a man, I would consider that's a man. However, remember the voice. Remember the unkept hair. Remember the distinct lack of makeup. Remember the no need for spectacles. And now I want to show you a video of the same person on TV 2 days ago.
The UK is now in absolutely plain breach of a case called Goodwin, which is what led to the legislation permitting people to change their legal sex. So the United Kingdom's going to have to address that, and I believe that the Strasbourg Court, the European Court of Human Rights, is going to tell it that it must. This is really a case and guidance that's been promoted by a very tiny minority of British people. It's not reflective of the basic decency of British people. It's simply that there's been a disproportionate voice from a very well-funded lobby, and it has the ear of government, it has the ear of the press, a lot of it, but it isn't in accordance with basic British values, and I think any government that continues in the direction that it's going may well face difficulties, frankly.
He's just not getting at Craig Houston, because what she said is absolutely spot on. And it is interesting. It's not in accordance with British values. And she's absolutely right. So, you know, what I'm really trying to get across here is it's just about it's about being decent, and it's about being fair, and that's what British values are all around, and that's why Britain has always been fair, and it's always been the British Empire and the British government and the British people, Scots, English, Welsh, Irish people, have always been. We've done so much for the world and so much for Britain. I mean, we virtually conquered the world. You know, we ended slavery. We did so many things. Yeah, of course we've done some bad things. What, you know, have you heard about the Spanish Inquisition? You know, so the British way of life hasn't just happened overnight, and the ethics of the British people, and that's what I see here, and that's what I'm seeing wrong here. And I think what we've got here is we've got a woman standing up for Britain, and we've got this guy here who claims to be British, and isn't quite getting it. I think it's more of a kind of, he's just not, like, let's have a look at Victoria McLeod. I think that's what we need to do, because let's go and have a look. There she is there, Dr. Victoria McLeod. So, I mean, Victoria is a barrister, mediator, chartered psychologist, a former judge, a trans woman. She was the youngest High Court Master when appointed in 2006 as a deputy, and as a full judge in 2010. She retired from the bench in April 2024. She graduated from Christ Church, Oxford in 1990 with a degree in experimental psychology, and obtained a doctorate in 1993 in human visual system science. A year later, she completed a law conversion course and was called to the bar in 1995. Practising at Carham Chambers, McLeod was the first trans person and second master using she/her pronouns. From 2006, McLeod was a deputy costs judge, taxing master, then appointed a Queen's Bench master in June 2010. She was reappointed as a costs judge, taxing master in 2017. Decades of legal experience. Master McLeod brings invaluable expertise in mediation, expert determinations, early neutral evaluations, with a special focus on cost disputes and related alternative dispute resolution (ADR) matters. Her illustrious career spans various roles in the legal landscape. Recognised for her contribution to legal practice, she played a pivotal role in shaping the legal framework, promoting alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. So this is a highly educated woman, right? It's like, you know, it's a highly educated woman. That's what she is.
Face difficulties, Frank.
Bizarre. If I now close my eyes, I may think, is that a man or a woman? Whereas previously I would probably be thinking definitely a man. So the voice of this person has somehow managed to change. Bizarre. So the voice of this person has somehow managed to change in a few months.
Right, so...
And it seems to be dependent on the topic.
The voice So under the transgender protocols in Scotland, by the Scottish Government, there's three things. There's facial hair removal, and there is hair, so wigs, and the third one is voice coaching. It's got speech therapy. So that is what most transgender women do. And Victoria MacLeod might have went private. Let's just listen to Craig again.
Bizarre.
Bizarre. Yeah, it might be bizarre. That is bizarre. You got to change the way you speak. So I'm speaking, the way I'm speaking right now, which is normal. So, obviously, so I'll just quickly explain it. When you go through puberty, which I did, male puberty, your voice goes deeper. You can't change that. And facial hair goes out your face. There's lots of things happen. You can't change that. So basically, all you're really doing is you're not changing your sex as such, although legally you can. You're just sort of adjusting your body to make it fit in with the opposite sex, whichever way it is, if you're male or female, male. So that's why you would change your voice. You would speak, so I'm speaking normally as I always have done right now, which would be sort of male, I suppose. If I really wanted to, I've been to speech therapy. I find it quite difficult, frankly. It's a very difficult thing to do. So you've got, it's a higher, but it's also, then you realise that women and men say different things. So they have different approaches to conversations and things, which probably most people haven't actually realised. But let's not get into that too much. But I think what Victoria MacLeod's doing there is she's at, Dr. MacLeod is at an interview, and she's just putting her best foot forward. She's speaking feminine, she's wearing makeup, she really is. And I don't see why any woman would do that. She's representing women, she's representing transgender women. When she's into that, that's fine. You know, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not really into that. I think, as I said, there's more important things to worry about. The battery's going to go on the phone, I need to plug it in. Hang on.
If I now close my eyes, I may think, is that a man or a woman? Whereas previously I would probably be thinking definitely a man. So the voice of this person has somehow managed, which we didn't need when we were talking about general litigation, if you don't mind. Just be whatever. Which we didn't need. We find a comb and brush her hair, comb or brush her hair, find a bright red lipstick, and the need for a big pair of red glasses. Which we didn't need when we were talking about general litigation issues in a previous output. That's bizarre to me. It's like, not only do I want to look more like a woman because I'm talking about trans stuff, I want to sound more like a woman. Just be whatever you are without any cosplay, if you don't mind.
Right, so what he's doing here is he's sinking to depths of ignorance. It's actually what he's doing is being rude. He's just being rude. You know, it's quite obvious that a man who has become a woman is going to try and sound and look like a woman. Right? So a woman who wants to be a man, who is a man, wants to sound and look like a man. I don't really get I think that's fundamentally obvious. So, I mean, you've got to work out what the definition of that is. So women wear makeup, men don't wear makeup. Well, they might have done it at some point in history, but they don't. So, you know, or women have long hair, men don't. Men have short hair. You know, so that you might argue that's not necessarily the case. So I think he's just gone on some kind of I think he's just, personally, I think he's just showing is a deep level of ignorance that, and this is a highly educated woman. You know, this guy is sitting there. I think he's got the audacity to sit there and criticise that woman. He's got the right to criticise her, but I think he's got the audacity because she's an educated woman, and the educational background she's got needs, you know, it should be respected. So, what a clown.
So now on to the story. This judge.
So there's not really much to say about this other than what we've already said. Victoria MacLeod. So I'm not gonna keep looking at this. Victoria MacLeod has taken the British government to the European Court of Human Rights, and she's going to win. And transgender women are going to probably get compensation, and the whole thing's going to get sorted out. And J.K. Rowling has wasted her 70 grand. Right, so that's what's going to happen. So there's not much point really in watching this area here.
Output, which we didn't need when we were talking about general litigation issues in a previous output. That's bizarre to me.
It's bizarre to you. Right, so we'll get to this bit here. We'll miss out on that bit. I think it's just a mumping about her taking them to court, actually. It's good for it's a 18-minute video, and it's, you could have it, you could, well, shouldn't probably have done it at all, but
notification bell for the channel. However, what I always say, the most important thing of all, unless you're a crackpot who should know better, because at the end of the day you're a judge. Oh no, you're a doctor now.
So that's, you know, that's, I see deep resentment. Dr. MacLeod is a doctor, and it's because she went and got a doctorate. You know, you mean, Craig, why aren't you a doctor? Why am I a doctor? Well, I'm a doctor because I never pursued education that high. Why did you not do it, Craig? You know, so I wouldn't be resentful for anyone that has got a doctorate. I think it's really bad taste what he's doing. He's been very disrespectful. It's actually the height of ignorance what he's done. So what I'm going to go on to say about the trans thing is, it's the obvious thing, right? It's none of your business, Craig. It's none of your business. It's none of your business if I'm a man or a woman, or if Dr. Victoria MacLeod is a man or a woman. It's none of your business what toilet Victoria MacLeod uses, what toilet I use. It's none of your business. You know, so if you try and remember these things, if you weren't the way you are, you'd be a decent man, and you're not a decent man. And I don't know, it could be, you know, that I don't really want to say it's because you're a Rangers supporter, you know, or, well, a football supporter. It could be there's a sectarian element to that, yeah. And that's just the depths of just ignorance. You don't want to learn anything, you don't want to know anything, you don't want to improve anything. You want the money, but Dr. Victoria MacLeod is light years ahead of you. You know, and I think you know it. I think you sit there, you know, and I'm not into all that trans stuff, really. I'm not into the LGBTQIA stuff. I would have moved away from it. If she enjoys doing that and she does it, that's up to her. But I generally think if you believe that you're going to change from male to female or female to male, you change and just be that person. You don't need to be part of that organisation. But if it wasn't for her, who's going to take the British government to court? And somebody's got to do it, and she's doing it.
Who demands rights that some people have already got, because we keep going on about trans rights are human rights.
I don't really know what he's saying here. Demands rights that some people have already got. What does that mean? Demands rights. Some people have already got. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. He's not coming across as really very... I don't think he really believes in what he's talking about. I think he's going to regret... I think he's going to regret his stance on this. I think it's all going to go horribly wrong for him, and I think it should. I think it deserves to go horribly wrong for him. I don't know what he means. What was he saying there? So she's fighting for her rights. So basically, she's been told that she can't use a toilet. So she's been told that she can change her gender. So she's done that, right? She's changed from male to female, but using the appropriate legislation and doing the correct things. She's changed from male to female. She's got in the paperwork, and she's bent to court, and the court says, yeah, you're female, you're not male, you're female. And now we've got J.K. Rowling gives 70 grand to some extremist lesbians, a group of gender critical feminists. They take the Scottish government to court, and now we've got Craig sitting there supporting them, supporting J.K. Rowling. You know, so of course she's got to fight for her rights. Why shouldn't she fight for her rights? If she's not going to do it, who's going to do it? So, what is that? What's the right for what? The right to be able to use a toilet. So we don't have to go to a disabled toilet. Which is a lot of crock of shit anyway, right? Of course we know that. So, the other thing he does here is he does the exclusionary thing.
Everyone else, have a great day. Get by that.
It does exclude people that don't agree with him. It's not good form. You shouldn't really do that. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't like me, don't agree with me. I get that all day long. There's loads of people who don't like me, but don't exclude them. Ignore them, but don't exclude them. Everybody's welcome, especially when you're the head of a political party. So I don't know what he's playing at there. I think he's I don't know if there's anybody advising him or what. I don't know. What I would say is, this is more about... So these are two British people. And is that what this is about? There's one doesn't know how to behave, and another one does know how to behave. There's one highly educated. Let's find out what Craig Houston's education is. Let's find that out. Has he got any O-levels? I can't actually find much about his education. It's a lot of football drivel. Reading the comments. So there's a YouTube video here. It's from Linwood. So I don't really know if I really want to watch it. I might, who wants to watch that crap? But so it's really about, this is the problem with this is this is almost as bad as being a transgender woman, right? When all you think about is transgender stuff, and all you think about is LGBTQIA stuff, and you go and vote for somebody that tells you, so I don't want to go and vote for that twat with the ginger hair who's filling the place up with wind farms and shutting down the oil industry and filling the place with bloody foreigners, right? I don't want to vote for them, right? But that doesn't mean to say you can't accept the fact that you can change your sex legally in this country, and you have been since 2004. So having an obsession with Rangers is somewhat similar. So all you do when you read this, it's all about Ranger shit. It's all about football this, football that. It's not really very expansive, is it? It's quite closed. All you talk about is, and there's the Celtic people turn up, and then they get banned and everything because they don't like him because he's from Rangers. Sectarian stuff, innit? It's like it's actually worse than talking about transgender stuff. It's actually worse. It's narrow-minded, and he thinks he's going to go into Holyrood and kick up hell in Holyrood. I want to shut the place. I don't want more clowns like you going into Holyrood. What are you going to do? You're just going to turn like the rest of them. You go to Holyrood. You'll be on. You're not going to get to Holyrood anyway. So forget that, because you're not politically aware. Right. So I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. So what we've come up with is Victoria MacLeod, Dr. Victoria MacLeod, is a highly educated woman, educated in Oxford. Craig Houston, we don't know. Has he got any qualifications? It's quite a common name as well, Craig Houston. There's a lot of them called Craig Houston, so maybe the only way would be to watch. My guess is I don't think he's very well educated. Okay, so it's not, I mean, being educated isn't everything. I'll accept that. It doesn't mean everything. You could be very bright and not have bothered going to Oxford or going to university, college, school, or that. It doesn't mean to say you're not bright. But it's a good indication you are bright if you can go there and get a doctorate. And it's a good indication sometimes people that don't have any qualifications, it is an indication that they're not very bright. So but I do know people that are very bright and haven't got all these qualifications. Equally, I know a lot of people who haven't got any qualifications and they're thick as mince. Right? So, we'll leave it at that. So, I'm not going to exclude anyone. I'm not like Craig. If you don't agree with me, fine. So really, I'm trying to cope with... It's a tough world out there, some horrible people out there. You just have to learn to ignore them. So, I think, to sum this up, Victoria MacLeod is an educated Scottish doctor, ex-judge, and the reason she's she retired. Craig Houston is a salesman, a Rangers. He's wrote a book about Rangers, a Rangers fanatic. It could be if we were to watch a video about somebody from Celtic, it might be the same. It's just on a different side. It's sectarian, so it doesn't say a lot. I've never really been that interested. First time I went to Glasgow. No, it wasn't the first time, but it was the first. I went to college in Glasgow when I was 17, and one of the first things they said to me is, "What religion are you, Fergie?" And I goes, "No, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. What football team do you support?" I don't support football. No, I'm saying this wrong. It was, what religion are you? That's what it was. I says, I'm not religious. Both these questions mean the same thing, by the way. For the most part, I'm not religious. I'm an atheist. It doesn't work like that, he says. Well, we know what you are. And they did know what I was. I'm not going to tell you what I am, or was, or my family background, but that's what it's like. Central Scotland and Ulster, Northern Ireland, Central Scotland. That's what it's like. So that's what we're getting here. He hasn't got himself out of that, the ignorance of that, the narrow-mindedness of it all. So Dr. MacLeod has, right? And so really, it's none of your business. It's none of your business about what toilet I use. It's none of your business what my birth certificate says. It's none of your business what my name is. I'm not mean you. I mean like generally rude people like Craig that are just being rude. It's none of your business. It's a legal situation, and J.K. Rowling spends her 70 grand. So it's none of your business what toilet I use. It's my business. And so encouraging people to go on about that. Well, he was encouraging people to question people in the toilet. No, Silver Hot Takes. There's another one. We'll do a video on him. He's worse than Craig. I actually don't mind Craig, to be fair. Silver Hot Takes. I think he's one of these horrible English people. I mean, not like English people are alright, but he's got that kind of real English. That's what it is. He just comes across as that snidey and horrible, resentful. So I don't think Craig's really like that. I don't even know if Craig's a narcissist. I think he's not thinking about the topics he's talking about. I think he's just putting the videos on. I know his young followers are following him and agreeing with him, and that's what's happening.
And I think any government that continues in the direction with basic British values, and I think any...
Bizarre.
So we're going to end it there, folks.
So, unless you're one of those people, not you.
Everybody.
Everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.
cheery bye everybody. I don't want to exclude anyone because I'm not like that. I'm not like Craig. So thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.